Hi, and welcome back to the Minneapolis Northwestern N-Scale Model Railroad Monthly Video Journal. Still working on planting trees here, so a little backdrop work on that. Some questions about my trees I'm using. These are hydrangea bushes, and in the summertime they've got a nice little bloom to them, kind of a conical shape to their bloom, the blossoms there. And in the winter time they dry out, and you can see how they look when you dry out. And if you got a nice generous neighbor that gives you some clippings off their hydrangea bush, you end up with these nice little clippings that are great for trees. You see you got a little blossom on there still. I just kind of clean them up a little bit, and I use those for my trees, hydrangea bush. I also use some dried sedum. They don't have quite the branchy look as the hydrangea bush, so I use those in kind of different areas, but they still make a very nice little filler for trees. Here's one that I just put some ground foam on that, and they look pretty good. Here's my box of stuff. I got goldenrod weeds and sedums and hydrangea bush in there. So as I started planting these things, there's no glue involved. I'm just taking the stems and pushing them down between the edge of the board and the wall. Just trying to fill in these spaces here. Long stems help here, and I come back and fill in those lower areas with some little brush and smaller pieces of the hydrangea bush and some sedum pieces to fill it in here. My goal here is to try to sort of make it look real full and lush along the bottom, and let it kind of spread out a little bit more at the top. So just filling in all these little spots. As I fill in, I put in some trees, and then I'll come back in and fill in the gaps with smaller pieces, just to kind of give the illusion of some brush and more of a thicker growth along the ground level. So this worked out very well to add some nice color and detail to the backdrop here. You can see I've only got about an inch of space to work with, so I had to be very careful to make sure I still had clearance for the trains here, and you'll see a bit later in the video they still encroach on the track a little bit, but I was able to kind of push them back. Once I get them all in place, I just use some gentle pressure and just kind of push them back, kind of squash them back into the wall along the bottom to make sure I've got room for the trains to go by without catching on anything. As you can see, some of these trees have some very long stems, and that works well to give kind of a little space along the bottom. I needed to make sure that everything stayed close to the wall so that the trains could pass by, and the longer stems kind of allow the plants to overhang the track. Once they get a little higher and they're clear of the track, they won't get in the way so much. So I tried to use some of the smaller pieces, smaller pieces along the bottom, and those long stems on the trees there helped kind of when the branches branched out, they're a little higher and they're not quite so close to the track. So long stems work nice for that, and then just come back in and fill it in with whatever brush you can, and all the little gaps and the spaces in there, and it turns out to be I like the look of this, that it filled in very nicely. There's a few areas I still need to go back and fill in with. It was a hard spot to reach too, so I couldn't quite see what I was doing. I was reaching out pretty far to put these last little pieces in, and a little bit of work yet to do, but I like the effect here. The colors turned out pretty well too. It also helped to try to make some trees that were kind of flat on one side, so I did clip a few of the branches on the side that would be against the wall, so they're kind of flat on the back side, and that helped to keep the trees from overhanging the track too much. We'll take a closer look at the finished look later in the video here. I also spent a little time going back to working on the silos, and came up with some more little details to fill in there. I was working on these little tanks. What are they for? I don't know. I just thought it'd be kind of fun little things to fill in the area here. I'm using some small PVC or pipe for these little tanks. Just cut them. They're about 1.5 inches long. I just cut some pieces, and some 1/16 inch tubing, just to add more interest to whatever heck they are. I don't know what these tanks are. They're just kind of fun little things to fill in. And this one I just finished painting. You can see I added some little strips to it to create a little more detail. It's got kind of a rough look to it from the painting. It didn't come out real smooth, but I guess I don't really care. I kind of like the rough look on it. And the strips I used, evergreen strips that I used, 0.01 by 0.04 strips. And I just cut those to size and wrapped them around there and glued them down. Painted it with some silver spray paint, sticking my little tube on the top, and I got myself my little tank. I have no idea what it's for, but it makes nice little detail. And I helped add a little weathering. I used some pan pastels. These are very nice for weathering. Just brush on some rusty color here a little bit, just to kind of give it a little rusty weathered look. You can see the end product here, some weathered looking tanks that fit in very nicely around the silos here. You can see where I put them on the layout, and they add some nice little detail there. Also working on a few other little things around the layout. I've got a wreck damaged reefer car that I made using heavy-duty aluminum foil, and I just kind of burnished it down over a freight car, and had a few other pieces that I kind of glued together. The end pieces are separate. I glued those on separately. Added some brown paint and some decals and kind of bent it up a little bit, and there's my wreck damage car sitting there. So here's a look at the back side of the layout before we had any trees back there. You can see it's pretty bare. Not much in there, and in the next shot we'll see how the trees look once I got all the work done. Also used a different camera. It's got a little higher definition and a little wider angle, so we'll finish with that, a little tour, a little spin around the lower deck of the layout. So I hope you enjoyed the video this month. I'm going to keep working on a few more little things to add in this corner of the layout, but the trees turned out nice here, and appropriate thing for the fall to have some fall colors to work on. So thanks very much for coming by, everyone. I certainly do appreciate all the comments and the viewers and subscribers. So thank you very, very much for all your support. And until next time, happy railroading.